Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Go Live with Glow. How's everybody feeling this week? How's everybody week going with the snowstorm? I know we begged to stay home, and now we have no excuse to have a snow day because we was all working from home, remote working and remote learning. So they were saying they sent out an email like, for those of you who are already working at home, please continue to work from home. And I was like, oh my God. Hold on, Sal. I'm going to go ahead and add you in a minute because we about to start on time. Hold on.
Happy birthday, Nikki. Hey, Shelly.
Yo,
Hey.
yo,
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
hear you great.
Okay. Everybody, welcome Mr. Saladin Davis here tonight with us. For those who do not know, it was Sal that put the little bug in my ear to even start going live. It was you that told me, like, sent me like a DM, like mid-pandemic, like, hey, why don't you go live with cognac and conversations? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. That didn't go over too well. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I would have played it, but I'm
Yeah, yeah,
happy
yeah.
that I don't know how I would have played it throughout this whole pandemic, and I don't know if I would have been able to be consistent with that idea just because it had already existed. So I'm happy that you did put a bug in my ear, and that something new was able to form out of it. Because the first
Um,
live that I did was kind of crazy. That I had to do a redo, and I was like, I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
about that. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
so thank you for that. I definitely
Man,
appreciate that. You put the bug in my ear. What
it
made you ask
is.
me to do this? Because I definitely would have still been sleeping through the rest of this pandemic like I started out doing.
Nah, I just saw that you were just ready to get something done, and you wanted to get something done, and you expressed that, relying on others,
Right.
ends up being something of a hurdle. So like, hey, man, you already got the tools. Just go ahead and do something so it can kind of get you started, quench your thirst to be able to go out and get something done on your own and get out of that bubble that you got being at work all day.
Everybody knows my struggle at work. Everybody knows how I feel. That's a shame. Everybody know how I feel about my job.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
introduce yourself to everybody. Let everybody know who you are, where you from, what college you went to.
Well, Saladin Davis. A lot of my friends call me Sal. I don't mind either way. Just don't mispronounce it. From Jersey originally, Franklin Township in Somerset, New Jersey. Went to Stony Brook University out in Long Island for undergrad. Graduated back in '07. Played football at Stony Brook. So shout out to all my Stony Brook heads. Shout out to all Long Island Queens, all of New York, because that's all New City was all up and through there.
Yeah, I
Um,
had a few people that went out there to Stony Brook too. My cousin went out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So went to Stony Brook, graduated '07. Started working in banking, and right after college, and moved out to Charlotte 2010, and been in North Carolina since, man.
Mm. So I met you in front of my dorm. Do you remember how I met you?
Man, was I inebriated?
Sal, you just was sitting in front of the dorm. I mean, so okay, so everybody knows I went to Morgan State. I went to Morgan State University. So every now and again, there was only, I'll say this because I was in Blount. So Blount was the only,
Mm-hmm.
there were multiple girl dorms at Morgan, but Blount was the only one that was next to a boy dorm that had like an open parking lot. So it was more like the meetup ground more than anything. Like you could just meet anybody there, and not everybody went to Morgan. And Sal was sitting on the curb. Sal, you were sitting in front of the curb. And I remember Mitch was like, "Oh, hey, it's my man Sal," and I'm like, okay, what are you doing out here? Where you from?
Uh,
Where you come from?
uh,
Like you
every
just
time I
showed
got a
up.
chance, every time I got a chance,
Sal, you just showed up and was sitting out there on the
yeah,
curb like you was a student there. That was
I
one thing
was,
about
I
Morgan.
was.
People could blend in there. You didn't have to have no ID. You didn't have nothing. You could just walk up all up into our
Hey, man,
classrooms and sit wherever you want to sit at.
that's a fact. That's a
Sleep in the
fact.
door. I mean, just the
That's a
ghetto.
fact.
Jesus Christ. Just go ahead
Hey,
and go
man.
walk up all up and through there.
Between Morgan and Howard, man, I spent most of my time outside of Stony Brook there. Yeah,
Clearly, because I was like, I'm like sitting here today. I'm like, how did I meet Sal? I'm like, I think I met Sal in front of my dorm, like on my way
I'm
inside, and saw you
pretty sure.
outside, like just hanging out. And then here we are, how many years later? And then you
Makes
have a
sense.
baby born on my birthday. Look how life comes full
Hey,
circle.
yeah, man. Got my boy. Finally got my boy.
So, what did you go to school for? What did you initially go to college for?
So ended up studying business, even though when I went, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left. So ended up studying business and with a little bit of economics in there. That I guess that's kind of what led me into a little bit more of the banking realm because a lot of the other job offers that I had was more backline operations type work.
Mm-hmm.
So studied business undergrad, but obviously rolled in a completely different direction now. So,
Right. And so you said you moved to North Carolina. What prompted the move from North Carolina, and how much of a change was that going from Jersey to North Carolina?
oh man. So what prompted the change was my wife, well,
Okay.
girlfriend at the time. I was a little bit deeper than that. So I was in the process. We were already in a long distance relationship, right? I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Jersey, she's in Charlotte, and I'm also in a situation where I didn't have custody of my daughter at the time.
Okay.
So with cost and everything going on with that, like I talked to somebody that worked in kind of like child services, and she helped me. Like I thought that the move wouldn't allow me to get custody, but she said, since you're biological father, you can move as long as you can provide, safe home, safe environment, blah blah blah. That you can get custody regardless. So once I knew that was that was a good thing to do, I was like, man, I just went to, started applying online at Bank of America while I was at B of A at the time, and Bank of America is based in Charlotte.
Right.
Just started applying to jobs, and I ended up getting something and made it all worked out.
So I want to just, because we're going to jump all over because, see, I know you. So we're going to jump over. I'm going to get a little bit into your business a little bit. Just a little bit. Not all
Hey,
the way through
listen,
it.
listen,
Just a
man.
little bit. Just a
I
little
wrote a
bit.
book about it. It ain't like
Yes.
I'm not, it ain't like I'm holding it in or nothing like that, So I'm exposed already. So go ahead.
Okay, so you have a book, Lessons of a 13-Year-Old Father. So please explain and just, yes, Life 101. Yes. Sal, look how young you are in that picture.
I just had the baby face. You say I had no facial hair, so I have the baby face. So look like super young, right?
You look super young on the photo with the title.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
walk us through that because I remember meeting you and you telling me at the time, if I was 18, I think your daughter was already like 4 or 5 when I met
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember saying like, well, how the hell he got a baby so goddamn old and we so young? So
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
don't meet, as we're babies, so we don't think about other people having kids, you know what I mean,
Absolutely.
so young. So please walk us, because more than just me here, like walk us through like what happened and what was that like for you?
So, um, so I'll walk you through the me finding out, that because obviously we know how I got
Yes.
it. We know how it happened, right?
And I just want to ask
So
you a question. Was her mother 13 as
same
well?
age, same age.
My mother would have been devastated.
Same age, same age. Well, hey, they were. So so one day I'm home. It's I'm in eighth grade at the time. I'm home. My mom gives me a call, like, so and so's mom called me and told me that so and so was at the house one day, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, mom. They lying, whatever, 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 right? So she like, all right, whatever. So when she comes home, she's like, nah, she's pregnant and she's saying that it's yours. And, I break down, tell her the truth, and I felt like I was about to die. So that's one of the funniest parts of the whole thing. Strangest parts, at least, is my mom knew before I learned through my mom. It wasn't like,
Right.
me and my daughter's mom knew, and then we had to figure out how to tell our parents. It wasn't even like
Mm-hmm.
that for me. Like I found out through my mother because her mother called my mother to tell her what was going on. So that's how I found out. And my mother, from the door, literally the same day, I'm broke down, I'm crying. I think it's a wrap. And she looks at me, she just says, you're going to have to man up, but the plan doesn't change. You're still going to go to school because you can't raise a kid if you're a dummy your damn self. Exact
Right.
words. I will never forget those words. But it just gave me that like from the door, she believed in me enough to say that you can do both. You can, put yourself, you can raise your child, and you can put yourself in a position to do so by going through and keeping the plans the same, keep playing ball, use it to get you to college, and go get your education so that you can provide for your daughter the way that she deserves to be provided for. So that was how I found out. And obviously we got the test. That took a while to, everything to come through. But obviously that came back that she was my kid. And, from then on, yeah, I'm a 13, 14 at the time, I guess, when we really found out with the test results, father, not knowing what the hell to do with myself, but nevertheless a kid. But yeah.
Wow. So like, what was that dynamic of? Because you have baby mama drama, but you guys are kids. Like you guys were babies.
Yeah.
Like you guys were babies. So like, who was watching the baby? Your mom just helped out? Like what? Like her mom helped out? Like what was that dynamic like?
The whole village, on both ends, right? Because before I got, before college and all of that, I only had my daughter staying with me for that was my senior year in high school. She lived with us, but before that, she was living with her mom and obviously her grandmother. And so it was a village. Obviously, there was resources available, certain daycare resources, things of that nature available to help with that day to day. But yeah, we were too young to do everything, right? Like, I mean, and then mentally, we didn't know what to do ever, right? Like we had to
Right.
rely on our parents to help us understand how to navigate the process of, dealing with our child, but also dealing with each other, right? Like
Right.
we're not together, we're trying to, quote unquote co-parent, right? But, remember how you felt about whatever your little boyfriend was when you was 14, 15, 16 years old, but your emotions was all over the place. So our parents had to manage not only, us trying to help us learn how to parent, but help us learn how to deal with each other in the sense where we weren't at each other's throats all the time, So it was a lot of work and stress on our parents, obviously, when we were young. My mom, honestly, she handled it like a G. I mean, for real. Like
Really?
I know that she had to have these
Yo.
nights. I know that she
Right.
had to, right? But she never showed it. Like, I mean, she
Really?
handled G. Like, and people that know me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Ask tricks. Like my mom is, yeah, she a G. So she
Wow.
handled it extremely well. She never made me feel like she never, for lack of better terms, she never made me feel like a fuck up. Like
Mm.
she helped me understand that I made a mistake. She helped me understand the responsibilities that came along with that mistake. But she never made me feel like less than, ever.
Right.
She never made me feel like that. She treated me the same, just with the added responsibility, and that allowed me a certain level of confidence to go about with, raising my daughter and being myself. Um, can somebody, can somebody,
Look at the
Imani?
babies.
Thank you, baby. I need you to, can you go close the door, baby? Thank you.
Wow.
Crazy house.
Listen, this is what life is like
I
right
know. I
now.
know it.
This is
Yes.
life right now.
Yes.
So
Yes, it is.
wow. So your
Yes, it
mom was
is.
just like encouraging you the whole time because my mom would have lost it. And th- she would have lost it, period.
My mom had funny ways of like jabbing me here and there, like you know what I'm saying, letting you know, like, you put a lot of stress on us in here, right? But
Right.
she never let it become a thing. Like she didn't use it to down me. She didn't get mad and let her emotions take her to a point where she, kind of talked down to me or degraded me for what I did.
Right.
And I mean, I appreciate that, like for real, because that helped me understand how to go about parenting my kids when I
Right.
when they got into situations that they were, sure, I got a 23-year-old. Like she done stuff that she ain't supposed to do, and it helped me understand how to navigate when I'm having, when I'm up and down emotionally, and when she is, right. I learned that from my mother.
Right.
So it really, she really handled it well, and she set the tone for the rest of the family and how they handled it as well. The rest of my family really helped me with it as well. because they just never treated me like I did anything wrong. They reminded me of the mistake, right? But they
Right.
never treated me like I was like a bad kid or irresponsible or anything like that. You know, they saw the good in me throughout the process.
You know, that's very, very interesting because you know how many people would have kind of swept that baby underneath the rug. Well, not your, well, your daughter. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
situation underneath the rug, like, this is not affecting my child. Let them figure out what they're going to do with the baby.
Hmm.
Just pay the child support. Just go to school. Do what you
Oh
want to
nah.
do. I have a brother. My dad had a baby at 14 as well. But I met my brother
Mm.
as an adult and we never knew him. And my father just never really even,
Wow.
like, it was like, you know, like that's how he felt about that. I mean, years later, of course, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all talked about it. You know, my brother reached out to me and, everybody just kind of like connected the dots and see where we all kind of landed at. But that wasn't happening. Like my father had a whole child before I was even born. Like my brother was 5 when I was born.
Mm.
Like we never
Wow.
even knew anything. So for your mom to kind of just hone in like, okay, this is the situation. Because I'm quite sure someone called my grandmother and was like, my daughter is pregnant. My grandma's probably like, okay, well, what you want us to do about that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably how I can
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
100% guarantee that conversation went like, well, God, well, congratulations, but we don't have nothing to give to you, and I don't think anybody was trying to take nobody back in like the early mid 70s to court
Hmm.
for child support with a 13
Yeah.
year old because what is it that you had to give? I mean, I think that's very honorable that your mom was able to step in and kind of like
Absolutely.
help navigate through that. So you wrote a
Absolutely.
book about your experience. And so
Yeah.
what is it that you wanted the book to give to those people that read it?
So it really want I really wanted to write something where young men that had kids at a young age had something to see themselves through. I've never
Okay.
had that, right? Like if you look, most of the things that we see in on TV, entertainment, anything that you even publications or news, you always read about teen mothers, but you never read about teen fathers. You
Right.
rarely read about teen fathers. I should say there might be some things out there, but even now doing real life research for my program, there's not a lot out there. So I
Right.
wanted to create something where young boys that had kids early saw themselves through something, and saw that somebody went through what they're going through or what they've been through,
Right.
and is somewhat of a success through the process, right? That was the first thing. But the second thing I wanted to do is just that help people see that obstacles are obstacles,
Hmm.
right? It's all about how you go about getting through those obstacles that make you who you are, that tells you how your life is going to turn out.
Right.
And the lessons that I put in the book were based on that. Like these are obstacles. My obstacle was becoming a father at age 13. Your obstacle might be something different. It might
Right.
be, that your parents were, on substance abuse. It might be that, you got kicked out of school and you had to try to find to go get your GED, whatever. You might have been locked up at an early, whatever it was, an obstacle, right? So what are those things that you need to learn? How, the lesson that you need to learn in order to get through the obstacles, and not just tell you the lesson, but
Right.
also give you practical things, practical ways to go about learning
Mm.
this lesson, which is one of my pet peeves about school. Like, stop
Right.
telling, don't just tell me stuff. I need to know how to make this practical. So I wanted to, make things practical and say, okay, this is the lesson. I'm telling you about accountability. This is how you hold yourself accountable. And this is how you create a village of folks as your accountability partners to help hold yourself accountable. Right.
Mm.
So those are the reasons why I really wanted to get the book out as far as getting information out. But the one of the primary main reasons was to just create a legacy, man. Like the book is going to be there no matter if I'm here or not.
Right.
Right. When I'm
Absolutely.
gone, the book is still going to be here. So my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, all the way down the line are going to be able to see and feel me in a different way that I'm not able to see and feel, my grandparents, my great grandparents, back down the line in that way. I wanted to be able to set that up and to be able to show them that they can do the same and set up ways to just be here. Even
Right.
when we all going to be gone sometime, how do you create a legacy that lasts? So I wanted this to be that first building block of my legacy that's going to last longer than me.
It's definitely about hustling for your last name, not your first.
Absolutely.
So, how was you meeting and approaching women and telling them that, hey, I have a I had a kid at 13. What was that like for you though? Like, what was like? No, I'm asking because when you told me, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we're like some babies. Why is this man kid so old? What is going on
yeah.
here? Like, I mean, does it take what was that? Like, did you have like to be super duper transparent? Like, how was that for you? Because you did go to
It,
college.
yeah, it depends on the situation, right? So in high school, obviously, like everybody knew,
Right.
right?
That small
People,
town y'all from. Jesus
small town,
Christ.
right? And the fact of the matter is that it's small towns around each other that end up all kind of the same, even though we call these you from a different town. So other people from other towns knew before, before I met them sometimes, right?
Right.
So it wasn't really a secret when I
Was
was,
it like, are you
through high
Sal with
school.
the baby? Is that how
Yeah,
people would describe?
yes, yes,
Was it like, oh, so you,
yes,
oh, Sal with the baby, with the
yes.
baby? Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I
But
know who
but
you
that's
are.
how we do. Like we call people by something, right? It's like, oh,
Right.
that's tall so and so. That's big
Yeah.
nose so and so, right? Yeah,
So
I was
you were
side with the
Sal
baby.
with the baby?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Sal, that's terrible. That's
yeah,
not cute.
yeah.
Who you talking about? Sal
It
with the baby?
was either Sal with the baby or Sal that play football or Sal that run track, right?
Well,
It
that's
was,
different. Don't put me Sal with the baby.
but I mean, but for some people, sometimes it was like that, right? So, and it just.
Don't
Yeah,
laugh at that man,
I'm sorry.
please,
I'm sorry.
because he
I'm
do it
sorry.
every time, and I try to ignore him on the bottom of here, but it's like he just jumps out
Yeah,
of
all the time.
nowhere and
All
just
the
says
time.
something. Just ignore him, please.
Yeah, but yeah, so sometimes it was, Sal, sometimes it was Sal with the baby. And at the time, because it was such a sensitive thing, yeah, when I was younger, I probably threw it out there
Right.
early. Honestly, in college, there might have been times where it was so no, I was so used to everybody knowing that
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like it wasn't on the front end of what I was talking about. It wasn't
Okay.
thrown out there in that way, especially if in those college days, if I didn't see myself take you seriously, right? If I didn't see myself taking
You
you
could
seriously,
dress it up any kind of way you want to. I hear you,
listen,
like, especially if I didn't.
you know,
We get what you're
you,
trying to say.
you know what I'm saying. At that
You were just
time,
messing around with
we
whomever.
was just,
Y'all didn't even get that far for the conversation.
yeah, certain
It's all right.
conversations, so, but it wasn't. I was comfortable for the most part within within my situation because I mean, it was hard. Now I care. I mean, I love my kid, right?
Right.
So with those situations, it didn't really matter, and then it didn't really stop me from getting women. So
Right.
I didn't see the point in hiding it,
Okay.
right?
That's fair.
So I mean, it comes along with it. If you don't want, okay, then somebody else will be all right with it. So it is what it is, right?
Hmm. Some people okay, some people not. So how did you meet your wife?
In social studies in freshman year of high school.
And so how did you guys circle back and come together? How did that work
So
out?
so we were together. We first were a couple junior year in high school.
Hmm.
So we were together junior year in high school, right? And yes, this is us. Yes, absolutely. And now we could discuss that real briefly before we get off. Junior year in high school, we met. We stayed together. So she went to Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Of course, I went to Stony Brook, so we tried it. We did a year, freshman year in college together. Sophomore year
Hmm.
came around, and it just wasn't working. So we
Okay.
broke up at that point in time, right? We reconnected. Oof, this was '07, maybe. So we broke
Hmm.
up '03, reconnected again '07, and just talking. She was in Charlotte, I was in Jersey. We were just kicking and talking, and then those old feelings came back, and I took a trip, and I was done after that. Like I was gone. Like it was a wrap for me.
Mm.
After that, I just had to sell her on it, right? Like,
Mm.
so I finally, after some months, I sold her on it, and she was like, "Okay, we could go, do that." So we did the long distance for a year and a half, about. And then I moved to Charlotte, and history.
Was there anybody in your ear telling you that you should probably like just leave that situation alone because it was just a long distance relationship?
Well, the first thing my mother said was, "What y'all gonna do, being so far apart?" Like, first thing she said, not that she was really like trying to hate on the situation.
Right.
She really was like concerned, like, y'all gonna date from that far apart, like.
Right.
And I was like, "Yep, I know what I want." You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
yeah, so that didn't matter, and for me at that time it was work. I worked every hour of overtime possible. If I wasn't at work, I was with my kid. If I wasn't doing one of those, I was on a plane, I was in Charlotte. Period. That's all I did.
Wow.
Like dudes in Jersey thought I already moved. Nobody saw me anymore. Those are the only three things I did at that point in time until I moved. So
Did you take your
um,
daughter with you to Charlotte?
so I moved in January 2010, but that's also I filed for custody in the same month, right before I moved. So I didn't get custody until August.
Hmm.
So I got custody August 11th. Yep, August 10th or 11th, 2010. And then that's when I brought her down right before school year started in 2010. So she's been with me since August 2010.
So what made you get custody of your baby? I mean, if you don't mind, like
So,
sharing.
so the Well, one, that was always a plan. Like, even I put it in my book when it was around 15, 16. I personally thought that, I knew where I was going. I had a plan. I knew that I was going to be some type of successful and be able to take care of my kid. I wanted to take care of my kid, but I also knew that I didn't, want to be with her mother. But I made up my mind at that point that I was going to get custody. I didn't
Hmm.
put a date on it or anything. I didn't really,
Right.
have a schedule plan in that way, but I made a point in my mind to always fight, for that. That was a goal. So, um, unfortunately, my daughter's mother, she had some trouble, and while I was in college, my daughter ended up moving with her, whatever you call it, a great aunt,
Okay.
right?
Her mother's aunt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. Great aunt.
Aaron Hell is my homeboy. That my homeboy Deuce. So yeah, that's like my bro, like in real life. But anyway, so she moved in with. So at the time, I was like, great, like she's gonna be with somebody older, somebody that somebody even cares to take care of her. I'm in school, I'm playing football, I can't be home like that. So great, like at least somebody's there, whatever. But that situation kind of went sour as far as the relationship between me and the aunt. And it honestly wasn't the best situation for my kids. So not
Okay.
only did I want to get custody from the door, it turned out that I needed to get her.
Okay.
For the best situation for my daughter was to be with me. So that's where it really came from in the fight for it. And I know that, a lot of people really, like most people, when I told them that like my goal was to get custody, they looked at me like really, like why, like
Right.
why you gotta, and because I understand, like I could have never got custody of my daughter, and as long as I paid child support, as long as I spent the time, visiting or whatever with her, nobody would have looked at me like a bad
Right.
father,
Nobody would have
right?
said anything about it.
But I would have known that I should have
Right.
been doing more. And
Right.
my standard was for her to be with me because I knew that she needed to be with me in order to be able to, really, really achieve what she needed to and be the best person she could be.
How supportive
So
was your wife of that decision?
extremely. I mean, she
Okay.
knew she knew, but remember, she knows me. Like she
Right.
know me. She knew me then.
Okay.
She knew me as a teenager. She know how I felt about my kids. She knew that was never a high thing, or she knew what it was. So she was extremely supportive. She's always supported me and being a father to Kara from the door. So that wasn't a problem at all. But she also knew that was the package. That if you weren't supportive of that, then we wouldn't have been together. It just wouldn't
Right.
have happened. I wouldn't have did it.
Right. And so how was that transition from your daughter coming from mom house, great aunt house, then coming and moving into the house with you and her stepmother? Like, how was that? Was there any challenges that you guys faced?
It was the rougher part was really just because it was just me and my daughter at first before we moved in together. So my wife and I didn't move to North Carolina. We didn't move together. Like I got
Okay.
my spot.
Okay,
She had
that's
her
smart.
spot.
You guys
Yeah,
moved
yeah, yeah.
in. Yeah, you and your daughter had built your own foundation first.
We needed to do that
Yeah,
first,
yeah, that's very smart
right?
before you guys all just grouped up in one house together.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
right?
That's you had to get a system going.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
Because my
yes.
daughter had to learn how to live with me. I had to learn how to live with her.
Mm-hmm.
And also it just wasn't it would have been fair to her to throw this woman in her life that she
Yes.
has to live with
Yes.
when it's not her mother. Like what? Nah. So
Yeah, that's a big
um
thing.
yeah, so that transition from to my daughter and I living together, that was
Mm-hmm.
rough That was much rougher than when we all came together
Why?
because
Why was it so rough, Sal? What was going on?
because
She
my
was a
daughter
teenager.
and no, really, because think about it. I was in college for this long. Every time we saw each other, it's the non-custodial parent thing, right? It's fun time when you see daddy, right?
Yep. Hmm.
It's let's go here, let's play this, let's
Yep.
shoot to the movies,
Yep.
let's go bowling, let's do that, right? So I was fun. I was the fun parent, you know.
Yep.
Man, she came and she was like, "What are all these rules, dude? Like,
Yep. I
what?
gotta turn the TV off. I gotta do this. I
Man,
gotta do my
oh
homework. It ain't fun
man,
no more. She got real
yeah.
serious, huh? It got
You
real.
ain't you ain't got no snacks in the house. Can I like this? You know,
Dad is boring. Dad is
boring,
boring. Dad is
dead,
mean. Dad is this.
dead
I
boring, right?
That is whack.
Yeah, right. So that was a tough transition for her. I knew that was coming, right? So it wasn't really
Right.
tough for me. Everything I was elated, like
Right.
everything. I took everything in stride because I was just so happy that I had her with me.
Right.
But I know that for her it was tough because she was also away from everything that she knew and everyone that she
Hmm.
knew. So knowing that, I just let her, I just gave her time. Luckily for us, one of my big cousin out here, Ebony, she helped me out a lot because I always wanted to make sure, similar to how my mother did, to make sure that she had women role models,
Okay, that's important.
right? So
Hmm.
my cousin was already down in Charlotte too, and her daughter is a little bit younger than my daughter, but so I'll be like, Eb, I need you. She needs you. She just needs you to. You don't need to do nothing. Just
Right.
if I could drop her off, and she was like, oh no, whenever. Da, 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 da. So they end up forming a bond, which helped out a lot because she needed that balance. I was, and I'm not the most lenient parent, so she needed some balance. She needed some stress lift off her sometime.
Right.
So that helped as well. And then, so by the time, no, we actually all came together as a family, we was straight. Like everybody
Right.
was good. We already had like this, we knew what it was going to be. My daughter was all for it, like asking me when I'm going to propose type stuff. Like,
Oh.
yeah. So that transition was good. But that first transition, bringing my daughter down now, that was a little rough.
And so you guys like what did you guys do? Like you lived in your apartment, your wife lived in her apartment, so you guys just had like build your foundation from there within the two homes?
Yeah, so so what we spent a lot of time with each other. So my wife had already had a house, so we spending time over there and doing things like family type stuff without forcing that
Right.
cohabitation, right?
Right.
So that made it easier. And then my wife chose to go to she chose to go to medical school. So in 2012 she quit her job and went to medical school, but she also didn't want to lose. She didn't want to sell her house, so
Hmm.
that's when we moved in,
Okay.
right?
Oh,
So
okay, okay, okay,
right,
okay. Makes sense.
so yeah, so and that and it made it a little bit easier too, but overall, I mean, they have a good relationship with each other, so it was kind of seamless overall, right?
Okay.
But yeah, it's been like that. It's been good ever since. We haven't had much hiccups, but it's a lot of low maintenance people in my household, so that
What you
makes it a
mean?
little bit easier. We don't. So my wife is not like she don't ask for much, right? She her main thing is just like keep the house straight, right?
Right.
If the house is straight, she's happy. My daughter don't ask for much, right? Like,
Okay.
nobody's really, and sometimes I'm like your typical dude, like whatever, like y'all good. Just give me a little bit of space to watch the game and I'm straight. Like, so we have a very low maintenance household in that sense. So, but that also, means that you gotta force that check-in sometimes, because it also means that sometimes we might push stuff aside because it ain't that deep. I'll push that to the side. But if you keep
Right.
doing that, then
Right.
it might cause some problems, right?
Hmm.
So Tricks, that's right. It's because that Jamaican, she's clean, and clean to her is just a different thing. Anyway, don't get me talking bad about my wife. She probably watching. Um, but but yeah, so we have to kind of force those check-ins to make sure that everybody is good. What, especially now, my
Right.
daughter being grown, it's like you got to be grown. Like talk to us, let us know what's going on, because
Right.
it ain't necessarily my job to always check in on you now. You need to go ahead and jump in and let us know how you feel. But we tried to open that communication for her, very different than the way we grew up,
Hmm.
where, you know, because I said so was an answer to everything.
Right.
We tried to make sure in our house that wasn't the case. Like we wanted her to feel comfortable having conversation and bringing issues that she had, even issues with us, to us. Because I always told her, like, you can say anything to anybody as long as you say it respectfully.
Right.
Learn how to say it respectfully. You can't
Hmm.
nobody get mad at you, and if they do,
Exactly.
you know it's something wrong with them, not you. You know,
Exactly.
so I try, try to make sure that's open, and there are challenges there, in communication as always. But we found our ways to work through them.
And your daughter graduated from
UNC Pembroke. Yep.
college, correct?
Yep.
College. Yes,
Got a
yes. I'm like,
college graduate,
college.
man.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
what has the challenges been? I know COVID has happened. I'm not sure how bad COVID is out there, but how has that impacted everything? Because you are now a father of three, not just
Yes.
one.
Yes.
So break down the ages for me. You have a 23-year-old,
23,
23,
4,
4, and
and
almost
10,
one.
10,
And
10
almost one.
months. Yeah. Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
one. He almost won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our birthday is on its way.
And he is not playing around. He out here. He's not stopped, man. Oh God, I
That's
love it
my
though.
twin. That's
I
my
love it.
twin.
I
That's
love it
my
though.
twin.
But so COVID is presented certain challenges, I should say. But so my wife's a physician, so the issues coming with COVID a lot of times come right directly from the fact that my wife has to work in this environment every day,
Hmm.
right? Um, Shut up. So first, when COVID first hit, she was still in her residency program, which was in a hospital.
Right.
So all of this stuff is coming through in the hospital, right?
Hmm.
So luckily she wasn't really exposed to it. She never had to work in the COVID unit in that
Thank
sense. And
God.
then for real. But then when she transferred, she got her first attending job, first real job as a doctor. She's in an office. So she's a primary care physician in an office. So again, the way that they set it up there is that when you have those COVID symptoms, you don't come into the office like you do you do it like
Telehealth. Right.
via phone or via Zoom, whatever, to do that, so it doesn't expose the people in the offices to it. So it's actually not been that bad for her, but because she knows so much about it, she gets stressed about it too. So that's really the most of what is done. I try not to talk about it too much, which I don't know if it's good or not, but because I don't want to seem like I'm being insensitive to people that are struggling through this. But we've had an amazing year as a family. I mean, my son was born in February. My wife graduated her residency program, got her first job. My daughter graduated college, right?
Hmm.
My 4-year-old, she's in pre-K. She's flourishing. She's hilarious, as y'all saw earlier.
Yes.
I started my master's program. Just finished my first semester.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We moved back to Charlotte area, bought a new house. Like
Y'all making moves in this pandemic. The
they,
pandemic ain't stopped nothing. It kept everything
so
moving.
for us, my mom, who was diagnosed with breast cancer last October, this October was declared cancer free.
Oh,
So
amen. She beat it.
yeah, so this has been a good year in that sense
Right.
for our family. So we just been trying to focus on that, and it's been good for us, man, overall, and it just given us, and me in particular, it's really giving me the opportunity to focus and sit. I'm not good with sitting down. I'm
Right.
not. I don't. I don't sit down much. Even when doing work, business wise in Charlotte before we had to go to Fayetteville for my wife's residency. I mean, I was working every day, whether if
Hmm.
it was I was at my 9 to 5, and then at night I had an event, I had a speaking engagement, something, and then I had a contract on my business that I did for 2-3 years every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Like
Hmm.
I worked I'm not good with sitting down. So
Right.
when I'm forced to sit down, it's like, yo, like, okay, what are you doing, dude? Like, are you just moving just to move? Is there a plan? what is the plan? What's the future look like for you individually? The family good, yeah, but
Right.
what's your life looking like going forward? So it really helped me just sit down and just focus on what it is that I wanted and how I wanted to go about it. And I'm I'm happy that it was forced to, because I promise you, if it didn't, I've been out in these streets running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and and
Right.
I probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to sit down, focus, and really start to map out the things that I want to do going forward. So I'm happy for it in that sense. Obviously not because of the chaos going
Right.
on between COVID and all the things that were happening early this year, and honestly still going on, and just trying to sweep a lot of stuff under the rug as far
Right.
as police shootings and things of that nature. So I'm not you know acting like these things aren't affecting us mentally either, but specifically for the family, for myself, it's been a moment of clarity.
So what other projects do you have in store that we should be on the lookout? And where can we buy your book at?
You can go on Amazon, just like anything else. So Amazon is the easiest way that
It's
most
also
people.
available on Kindle. If anybody has
Also,
Kindle.
also available on Kindle, right? Also available on Kindle, and as of now, if you wanted to get it autographed directly, then just shoot me a DM, and I'll go ahead. I got books in my bookcase right now that I've been sending out as the orders have come through. So
I want you to autograph mine personally. I want you to
I
write a nice
will,
note in mine. Write
I
a nice
will.
note for me.
I will. I will. I got you. I got you. But yeah, I love doing that. I honestly do. It reminds me of why every time I had to autograph a copy, it reminds me why I wrote it. So my all of my platforms are my name, Saladin Davis. You can follow me everywhere on there. DM me if you want a copy of the book, and we'll get it popped and send it out to your autographed copy. But as far as now, I mean, so I'm in my master's for marriage and family therapy, and
Really?
yes,
Why that
yes.
particular area?
So it fits, right?
Hmm.
My whole story is about family,
Right.
right? And the things that we as Black folks miss when it comes to things like therapy is there's so many gaps, right? And there's so many things left unstudied, right?
Right.
We if we're not there, our issues aren't going to get studied. Our issues aren't going to get looked at, in the ways that therapists go about treating people are not going to be catered to the things that we've been through and how we respond to things, right?
Right.
So that's one of the reasons is to be able to put more Black faces into the field of therapy, and
Facts.
more Black
Yes.
men in therapy, and marriage and family in particular, because the family to me is the core of everything, right?
Hmm.
And we look at the family as a system. We look at the systems and how they affect, and how everybody's affected by that system, right?
Yes.
So your family, I can't necessarily treat you as an individual without understanding all of those moving pieces in that system.
Hmm.
So that's what I wanted to get into and break down, because I've seen it in my life. I know how much all of these things in my life have affected me. Would I have had a kid at 13 if my dad didn't pass away when I was 6? I don't know. All of my
Right.
male role models were my brothers, my older brothers, and they
Right.
was young and dumb. So
I
what
think one of your brothers is in here too.
oh yeah,
I think one of your brothers just
yeah,
jumped in here too.
he in there. But I mean, just being honest, right? They was
Right.
young and dumb. Most of them running the streets, right? And that's who I had to look up to. Those were my male role models, right? So that
Hmm.
system helped, mold my mindset when I was a kid on how to move, right?
Right.
So good or bad, right? So that's why I really wanted to focus on family therapy, and and definitely wanted to focus on a Black family, Black marriages, and but a lot of my focus will be on Black men in therapy, Black fathers in particular. I just did a research project on it, which it's made me happy and sad, but
Why? Why sad?
because all the research has come from what we would call a subjugated point of view, so a point of
We
view
already know
of,
what that means.
right. So it's telling us that, yeah, we are present, but they're all looking at everywhere they're looking at it is from the words, like, so, oh, let's look at low income Black fathers, let's look
Right.
at young Black, let's look at how the system affects Black. It's so everything feels like it's coming from a negative space, right?
Okay.
So that kind of makes me feel like, like we ain't all like, right, like tell our whole story.
Mm-hmm.
But it also does, the research shows you that all of that stuff about Black fathers being absent, as it, like, nah, that's not true. Like, we are present more than most. We are
Right.
active more than most. We just don't get an opportunity to tell our stories. So again, why? Who is doing the research? We're not doing the
Mm-hmm.
research, right?
Right.
We're not actually doing and getting information. So that's the happy and the sad part of it. But
Okay.
a lot of the work coming up in the future is going to be based on creating spaces for Black men to be able to feel comfortable being vulnerable. So another book coming up soon that will be a little bit more in depth, have some contributions outside of just myself,
Okay.
and really like actual spaces that we're going to create for Black people, Black men in particular, to come and be comfortable being vulnerable. Like, be a place, literally a place you can go, an event that you can come to, an organization that you can come and be a part of, to be
Right.
comfortable being vulnerable without any type of judgment. Like those are the focuses. So that's the type of stuff you're going to be seeing coming up, and it's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be very good, and
Wow.
I'm just hoping that Eric, rock with me. We'll be rolling out some stuff as time goes on. I'm learning to transition from being in person a lot. Most of my work was in venues, a bunch of people, and
Right.
I'm learning to transition this to an online space in a way that I'm not leaving anybody out. So those things will be rolling out very soon.
Well, at least you have the option to have both now. So if you didn't, you can, when the world opens back up, you could be in person and you can still be virtual. This is giving you more options. There's two ways to skin a cat these days. Well, we have to. We don't have a choice
We
due to
don't have a
COVID.
choice. You're
We
right.
don't
We
have
don't
a
have a
choice due to
choice.
COVID. We don't know you like that, so we got to make sure we keep the 6 feet, keep the masks on.
That's right. That's
I
right.
want to thank you so much for coming on, and I always shout you out and be like, if you would have never said that to me, God only knows that I would have still been laying down in the bed watching whatever, binge watching. This concept came up. I
Yeah.
reworked it again. I
Yeah.
shot the first one, and I was like, okay, we cannot have that type of energy coming on. I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
this like this anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let me go ahead and rework this. Let me go ahead and talk to some more
And
people and see
and
how
you
we're
did
gonna
it
get this out.
masterfully. You did a great
So
job at it.
it was very
Absolutely.
important to have the person that put the fire under my ass to join me for my last episode of this year. It's very important that you come on, and I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. And before you leave, I just want you to drop a gem. One for the men, one for the women. I'm gonna make it challenging.
Oh man. See how she hit me, y'all?
So,
Oh
because
man.
I mean, if you're gonna make this safe space for these men, then you need to go ahead and speak directly to them in this gym that you drop, and also drop a gem for the women too. You got a bunch. If you've been reading and researching, you got a bunch.
Not even. I'm not even gonna necessarily pull it from the research. Men, hold yourself and other men accountable for how you treat each other and how you treat your women.
Mm,
Hold
that's
yourself
important.
accountable and hold your friends accountable. Stop letting the bullshit conversations fly by as if these things don't matter and if they don't manifest themselves in our relationships with women. Hold your people accountable. Women, this stop thinking that manhood, stop not allowing men to be vulnerable in themselves. I heard a lot of women, and I could bring I don't want to talk about that one in particular, but there was a TV show where a woman brought it up a lot about a man that was being vulnerable and saying that it wasn't manly for him to be vulnerable. I
I,
need I need I need women to allow men to be
mm-hmm,
comfortable being vulnerable, understanding that being vulnerable is not a weakness.
right.
Being vulnerable makes a strong man.
Mm-hmm,
And if women allow us to be vulnerable a lot of times because y'all lead more than y'all even know. At times when y'all don't know y'all leading. If y'all allow us to be vulnerable, it gives us, the permission in that sense to be vulnerable because I don't care about you, dude. My woman, I with it, right?
Right.
So allow
Exactly.
women allow men to be vulnerable, and when you're with them, men hold yourself and your friends accountable for how y'all treat women.
Mm. I hope that's in the next book. Write a
Oh,
whole
it's
chapter on it. Write the whole
yes,
chapter. Write
yes.
the whole chapter.
It's a lot.
Because
It's a
this
lot of
because this
that coming.
pandemic has revealed so much, and this
It's a lot of that
pandemic is
coming.
working for me and still challenging me in other ways.
Yeah.
You know what I
It,
mean?
yep, it is. All of us too, man. Just support your people, man. And support your people, man. Thank you for for having this space, like for me and others, and because we're learning a lot from the people that you bring on, and we're watching you grow right in front
Thank
of our
you.
eyes. And I'm proud. I'm proud of you.
Thank
Very
you,
proud of you.
Sal. I appreciate it. The fire starter. That's what I'm gonna call you for now. Because I promise you, I slept for the first 30 days of this pandemic and said, God, make it go away. I don't have time for this. I just said, shut the world down. If you're gonna shut it down, shut it down. I don't want to go outside
Shut it down,
anyway.
right?
But open it back up in the summer, and then summer didn't open. It was still closed, and I said, I can't keep living like this. So again, Sal, thank you. I love you. I appreciate
Thank you.
you. Tell your wife I said hello. Kiss the kids
I
for me,
will. I
and we will.
will.
I just want to say again, I definitely appreciate you. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Yes, yes, yes. Please, I will put the book in my story for those who want to go ahead and buy the book and support it. Great. You can see that you can have something that looks like it's going to alter your whole life, and it doesn't.
Absolutely.
Maybe a minor glitch. You still got a chance to live your life, go to college, sit in front of my college, and I randomly meet you. You still experience that life.
Yeah,
The baby didn't stop anything. So thank you
for
again,
real.
Sal. Okay. Thank you. Good night, everybody. I will see everybody
Thank
next
you.
year. Next year, January 7th is the first episode. See you
There
guys
we go.
then.
All right.
Good
Peace.
night.